Well, thanks, Jenny. Let me see. Maybe I should have this on gallery view. There we go. Well, thank you for this opportunity. It's always nice to do this. And the toy camera theme genre is something that I'm very excited about. And before I show you my work, I will share with you guys a little self-promotion that I'm having a small solo show at the Work Shack Gallery, which is in the Art Murmur District on Telegraph, or on 25th between Telegraph and Broadway. And it was I said this earlier, very much a silver lining of COVID, where an opportunity presented itself and, you know, do you want to do the show? And I said, well, sure, I've got work. And so I had some new work printed and framed, and it was a big rush in a way, but very exciting because this is the first time really in 8 years since I opened Greyloft Gallery that I've really been able to sort of work on some of my own work. So it's been very exciting to do that.
Great.
And I'm thrilled. I've been always shooting. I mean, I always take my camera with me, but to be able to do the process of you know, looking at the negatives, having them printed. I used to print everything in my own darkroom, and unfortunately I don't have a chance to do that right now, but there are good printers out there. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a little history. The host disabled attendee screen sharing.
So, just one of those days, folks.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to.
Yeah, should be good.
Enable me to do it.
You're empowered. Not only you're enabled, you're empowered.
Oh, maybe I am technically a host, and
I was able to do it.
Okay, thanks.
Can I do it now?
Yeah.
You should be able to.
So desktop.
Yep. We see you.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So I thought what I would do is tell you a little bit about how I got into the wonderful world of plastic cameras. I think, and I can't remember exactly the show I saw, but it was about 15 years ago. And I saw these amazing images that were, I was just blown away by them. And it turns out that they were done by this crazy little camera, this Holga camera. And before the work that I did before I discovered the Holga was, you know, using large 2 1/4 cameras on tripods, studio lighting, and I have a whole series of identity-based work where I photographed people and objects. I've photographed adolescent kids. It's called a series called 13. Photographed a small series of women over 50, and it's all very labor-intensive and very serious work that requires being in the studio or having it lit with studio lights, which I love doing. I really enjoyed that. I'm a real formalist in that sense, so I enjoyed that work. But I discovered the Holga, and I just became immediately in love with this camera. And I bought one at Gasser's, and I went on a trip with a friend of mine, and the image of the sink is the very first image that I took. And it's just a sink in a little cafe in Italy somewhere. And it hit me just the way it captured the light, the way it just was slightly out of focus, but really not that much. And I just fell in love with it. And I've been shooting with one ever since. I still do my medium format camera work. But whenever I travel, I always take my Holga with me. So I will just go through these. And so when I first started shooting, I was shooting sort of everything because I didn't really know what would work. What would, you know, as those of you who shoot with a Holga, you know that, you know, sometimes there's only one image per roll that works out, that usually they're very thin negatives. And it's really touch and go with what's going to work out. But this is what I love about it. I love the spontaneity. I love the fact that it's, you don't know what you're going to get. And it's about going back to really composing an image. It's about looking at something and making a composition and thinking about what you're doing slowly. And so this work really for me became a very contemplative process. It's, I don't want to say meditative because you know, I'm out there shooting, but it became a very calming, very meditative experience for me, where I would try to find very simple images. I'm very interested in minimalism. I'm interested in sort of capturing the light and capturing, this is not a great reproduction of this, it's a little richer, but I'm sort of being in the moment and capturing the light and capturing what's happening in front of me. And so I was photographing people. This is my stepson. And this is Yo-Yo, and these boys, I have two stepsons, ex-stepsons, I guess. They're always my boys, I guess. And they were models for me for ages, and they were the ones who inspired me on this adolescent series called 13. And I would bring my camera out, and Phil and Zachary was like, do you want us to take our shirts off? You know, and they would go out and pose, and they would do all these crazy things. And so it was very fun. And over time, I accumulated this great series. And then I started photographing them with my Holga. And this is one of my favorite images, called Yo-Yo. And then I went to Hawaii. And this was about 10 years ago, maybe. 8 years ago, and I suddenly discovered that the Holga, the way it captures light on flora and fauna is amazing. And so I really started to investigate and look at photographing plants and trees, and I have a whole series of tree images and plants. And so this series that I'm showing you now, these were all printed in my darkroom. These are all gelatin prints. Sorry, the sizing is different. I guess that's just the size of the image, sorry. This is in Jingletown near my studio. But I love the way it captures the plants. There's something about it that it calls to me. And there's the synchronicity, or the timing of these images, being in the right place at the right time, having the light. If it's too harsh, it doesn't work. Overcast is good, although this is obviously in a bright sunlight. And I like finding situations where the plants are kind of decaying a bit. I've always liked that. This is Oakland Radical in Jingletown, one of the many trucks that's being overcome by the plants. And then I photographed this, and this became one of my favorite images, Berkeley Fescue. And this sort of catapulted me into sort of a whole nother way of shooting. And I really liked the abstraction that started happening. I'm around a lot of artists, a lot of my friends are painters, a lot of my friends do abstract painting, and I love, if I were a painter, I would paint abstract work, but I'm a photographer. And so I've really enjoyed trying to make my images more of an abstraction. So this is something that I'm sort of reaching for more when I'm shooting now. Maybe not so much this one, but I love trees. I'm enthralled with trees. This is an earlier image. This is found in some strange neighborhood in Alameda. Again, in Alameda, on the base, which is a really great place to photograph. If you've never done it, it's great. And some of these, like this one, is in my show right now at the Work Shack. And these are printed large. Oh, I don't know why it has a white strip. Sorry about that. But this is also what I started working on. And I have a number of these where it's not sandwiched. As those of you who know, it's advancing the film, and you photograph and you advance it and you photograph. So it's actually one long strip of negative. And I love what happens when you do this inside the camera, and because you don't know what you're going to get, which is the beauty of the Holga camera, is that you really don't know what you're going to get until you come back from the lab, or you come out of the darkroom and you see what the negatives are showing you. And this is one of my favorites.
So Jan, on this one, oh, can you go back one? Oh, that's gorgeous. Did you, so I know you just said like you don't know what you're gonna get until you get your negatives back, but was this in one, like, was this kind of one scene and you were like shooting, advancing a little, shooting, advancing a little, shooting, like in one moment?
It was in a in an area that was close together, and I had it in mind. Like I liked these three different elements, and I liked the verticality of the flax in the middle, and I thought I was going to try that. So I did a number of experiments of what what would work, what combination, and this one in this particular scene worked the best.
It's
And
so
also
beautiful.
things that have white, like the hydrangea on the left, really show up well in the Holga because you've got good. You have to have good contrast, otherwise the images can be a little flat.
It's
So yeah, so I was. It's an experiment. It's very much experimental, which I love. I love the unpredictability about it. You don't know what you're going to get until you see it. It's a surprise, and
yeah,
I like that very much. And this was
this one's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Was that panorama in the show?
Not that one. No, I have two others that are in the show.
What would the scale be?
Of this last one, it's printed about 40 inches wide. So it's
really
maybe about 10 inches. It's about 10 inches by 40 inches, I would say.
I just love like the the balance between the, I guess you said it was a hydrangea on the left. Is that right?
Yes.
And then on the right, whatever it is, like, I don't know, it's a beautiful conversation or whatever it is that is going on.
Yeah.
And the tonality of the two. Yeah.
I like that word conversation because it's true. When you put images together, you're juxtaposing them, it does become a conversation. And I'm really interested in the natural world and sort of documenting that natural world. And this combination is a great conversation.
Yeah, and the way they overlapped is just kind of perfect on each side.
Yeah. And I go through and manipulate that in Photoshop, like soften the edges. It is really how the line.
You said you did not do that.
I did not.
Yeah.
The only thing I do in Photoshop is like I take out spots and increase, stuff you do in the darkroom.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not against that, but that's just what I do.
Yeah.
And like this is an image that I really love, dealing with, reflection and water and getting different layers. And I really love this. This is in the show.
Beautiful.
In the south of France. Gorgeous. And so from these on, they're not gelatin prints, but they are all film scanned and I had them printed. So the quality, it's a little bit different than what I would print in my darkroom, but I still love them.
Beautiful shot.
I have a thing for trees. I love trees. And I like the softness of this. It's a little bit romantic, but again, I just like the perspective and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
This is another favorite of mine that in a friend's garden, actually, her backyard in Pacifica. She's got a very wild backyard, and I just love that those branches are growing together. So it's being in nature and really paying attention to what is out there and finding these sort of unusual moments. I really, really enjoy that. This is an asparagus plant up in Northern California, a farm that was 5 miles from the fire. So I'm very happy that they did not burn down. But I do a lot of shooting when I go up there every summer. It's the same farm. And I love this was afternoon light coming through. And again, it's just capturing that moment of light that it works so perfectly with the plants. And this is another panoramic where I've advanced the film, and it's in Hawaii. And you can see the lines. This is in the show, and but it works. I mean, I like the fact that it's a continuous strip. And this one is obviously it's all palm trees, so it doesn't have different kinds of plants, but I like the overall progression of the trees. And this is also in Hawaii, which again is the same process, but photographed in two separate places, but then it overlaps in the center with those, not sure what that plant is, but
In-camera diptych.
it's an in-camera diptych.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, this one's in printed. It's a little richer. But this was on the Seine this last year. My daughter was going to school, and so I went to visit her, and we went on this wonderful ride, and just the way that light was coming, setting, and it's about, I really love sort of finding these moments and the lens flash and all that. It was very sweet when I found that on the roll, like, oh, this was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, in Davenport.
It's interesting how some of them have like a particular glow to them.
Yeah, it's true. And this one again is playing with the idea of the abstractions, what's happening with the light and the leaves. And this was a lucky double exposure. I didn't know it was happening actually in this one. I was actually in that same area. I was trying to do an advanced role and trying to capture that. But this was truly an accident. And I love this image. It's one of my favorite photographs of this day. And it was just a lucky accident, which is always what Holga work is about. They're accidents.
Yeah.
And then I'll end with this one. I was in my studio, and the light was so perfect, and it was March, like it was just the beginning of COVID, and everyone was going crazy with the toilet paper. And so I made this portrait, and it's just a little bit of a silly thing, but it was so beautiful, and so I couldn't resist doing it.
And there was such amazing light in your studio.
Yeah, so it was just one of those moments, and it turned out very well.
It works.
Perfect still life.
Yeah, it's of the time.
Yeah.
So let's see. How do I not share my screen?
There should be a red, I think it's a red button. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for looking. And
That was great.
thank you. I really love shooting with this camera, and I am always shooting. I have a bunch of film that I just got back that I haven't really processed yet, but it's a lot of fun, and it creates a wonderful calming effect on me. It's very contemplative, and it's a good thing for right now in our world. So I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for taking a look. Sorry it took a little longer than maybe I should have had, but so
No, it's your night.
oh, okay.
Share the same philosophy. The settings are so simple. You just have to think about composition and capturing the light. That's the way I see it as well. It's
Truly.
very
You're
beautiful.
right, Ernie. I think that the Holga work, or any kind of plastic camera, I mean, every camera does that, but I think in today's world of digital and iPhone, and I do a lot of shooting with my iPhone, and I love it. But when you have only 12 frames, whatever camera you're using, I guess just film, analog, you have to really think about what you're doing, because you can't see it, and you can't shoot just randomly. You have to really think about it. So it is sort of making yourself slow down, look at the image, compose it,
Exactly.
and shoot it, right? Which is what you do. And
Yeah.
so now we can turn it over to you, Ernie, and look at your
Okey-doke.
incredible work.
All right, now let me go here. Oops. So do you see it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I thought I did. Leave it to me to mess up here now. Share.
It's okay. There you are.
There
okay.
we go.
No?
Yep, you got it,
okay.
Ernie.
Sorry.
Got
No,
it.
you're good.
Are we in Venice again?
Yeah, now how come,
Can you do a full screen there?
I'm going to view, there we go.
There you go.
I'm going to do a slideshow.
Okay.
There you
So
are.
now this is with I got into Holga back in 2014. This is panoramic Ansco Pix panorama camera that I got in 1991. So these are photographs, obviously from Italy, Venice in particular, that I took in 1991, the year I bought the camera for about $15 at Walgreens. And so since I got the film scanner, I kind of rediscovered some of this. So I'm
I
starting.
want to go there right now.
Really nice
Why is
to
it
see
echoing?
Yeah, it's funny.
It's really nice to have this expanse. I love it.
Wow, look at that shot. I love that. Ooh.
Yeah, this is Florence.
Yeah, take us there.
Yeah, I would love to go back for sure. And then this
Is
is
it-
a little town near my father's town, Liciana Nardi. It's a little village called Ponte Bossio. But you can see how beautiful the landscape is. And it's about 2 kilometers from my dad's town. Let me go back to the beginning.
Is this 6x12 or?
Well, it's you know, it's 35 millimeter, and all it's got is like a mask that just takes the middle of the frame. Basically, it cuts from the top and the bottom.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's the standard 35 frame, you know, millimeter, and it just crops into like I said, the middle of the frame.
Does
So
it
so I printed this one in the dark room. There's only a couple that I printed. And then I don't use it that often. I probably used it 10 times since 1991. And the most success I had was the 1991 trip.
does this camera rotate when it's
No. It's just, don't know how to, yeah, if you could just like picture a small plastic camera, you open up the back, and instead of having a full 35 millimeter, you know, frame, it has these, it just crops in the middle, and just it has a long slit that
So
allows
it
the
goes,
light to hit the film
it-
in the middle,
it's
and
like
just
long
crops
and
from the
narrow.
top and the bottom of the frame. And that's how
And
you.
about how many frames wide is it? Is it like 3 frames wide?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a regular frame. I think I
Oh.
get 36 frames.
So Ernie,
Whoa.
it's 35 millimeter. Each image, it's 35 millimeter, but it's just narrow, like the
Right.
top and bottom, the narrow.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Again, I'm not good at explaining. I'm sorry. But
No, it's
That's
okay.
so
And
it's
would it be a little bit of a wide angle lens? A little bit of a wide angle, maybe?
it doesn't really
It is-
say. It just says
Maybe-
panoramic lens.
Hey Ernie, let's see the camera. Can you hold it up?
Can you see it? I don't know.
No, I've got to go back to seeing everybody.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to. Anyway, maybe I'll show it at the end.
Show us after, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, check us
Um,
after.
But it's a, you know, $15 camera back in 1991. So, you know, this is traipsing through Venice, different little calles and campos.
Do you speak Italian fluently?
No, no, very little. I always had to rely on my dad. And once he passed, I mean, I get by, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, the conversation only goes so far. And then combination English and Italian, it
Yeah.
generally works out. But
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I just wasn't brought in that
Got
environment.
the accent down.
I got the hand gestures down. That's about it. I'm really good at that. Tie my hands behind me and I can't talk. You know, so just different little calles or rios that all these little bridges.
Yeah, it looks sharper across the frame than a Holga.
Yes. Yeah.
On the edges, it's still sharp.
Yeah. It's not
Nice.
bad, you know, and I just scanned these a couple weeks ago. And then this is like a comp one. I wish I could remember what area it is in Venice, but I don't. And then this is the Arsenale, the Naval Museum.
Mhm. I love that lion looking off to the side.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of, I mean, like, you know, you can see the guy in the background and, you know, it's not too bad. And then this is the Isola di San Giorgio Maggiore, looking from the Punta Dogana, which is by the Santa Maria della Salute Church.
Are you in a boat now?
No. It's where they call it was a custom house where the boats would, you know, back in the Renaissance and all, they would drop off the cargo there. So we're on dry land, and I wish I could show you. I just didn't show that much of the, you know, the space that these folks are on. And they're not looking at cell phones, they're looking at books and maps.
I was going to say the woman standing, like I knew they couldn't be looking at a cell phone, but the woman standing, like she's
Does look
holding
like,
something
yeah,
that,
yeah. And that's why I mentioned it. No, they're all kind of looking at, you know, their guides and whatever. And then this is that same island, Isola di San Giorgio Maggiore, but, you know, obviously from a different area.
what do they call those pilings or whatever?
I was pilings.
Pilings? Just
Yeah,
pilings?
as far as I'm concerned, yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
thought
like
there might be a more romantic word.
there might be. I don't know it though.
It's so
I love these
iconic.
because they are iconic, and these images are iconic images. You look at that and you know exactly that you're in Venice. But I love the fact that, you know, it's with a plastic camera and you see the grain, and it's
Mhm.
the long. It's not your standard typical postcard image. So they're just beautiful. They're so
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah, I think I might have to start using it a little more. Like I said, I think I've only used it about 10 times. And I've got some other stuff, but this was like the biggest body of work, and I didn't want to put different things in. I kind of wanted to keep it like the same theme, you know, of Italy. And then this is my dad at the. So this is the church where those folks were looking out, and there's this I don't know a point where it looks across that to that other island. But that's the church I was talking about, where the Punta Dogona, the custom house, is right near there. And this is from the Ponte Accademia, not the Rialto Bridge.
Was your dad born in Italy?
No, he was born here in San Francisco, but 1923, and I think they went there right before the 29 crash. So his youth was Italy, born, you know, so he came back, thick Italian accent, you know,
Yeah.
but he was born here, but, you know, I guess from 6 years old, and he came back in 51. So, you know,
Okay.
majority of his life was there. So
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
now this
I
is
like this
from
shot.
the Rialto Bridge.
This is a great. Just so
You
I
can
don't
see
know.
traffic.
It's exactly what you want it to be, you know.
I was in Venice just last year, exactly a year ago now, and I see all these, and it looks exactly the same. I mean, I think Venice is a timeless city,
Yeah, it's magical.
and it's magical, and you've captured it so beautifully here.
Thank you.
It's so surreal that these places are literally right on the water.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Now this is Florence, and that's the Palazzo Vecchio in the background. And I just kind of like the way how the buildings converge towards it. And
Yeah, Ernie, I think this one's a good example of the format and the subjects working nicely together, that you've got sort of the built-in lines of the panoramic framing and then all these lines of the buildings working together.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
and you've got this tower, this campanile or whatever, that's so tall and narrow, and you've got this long, like this short and wide frame,
Mhm.
and you're just depicting like you can get a really good idea of what you are seeing, even though it's kind of opposite of what you might think it should be.
Yeah, this was shot from, can't remember the street, but it's like at least a block or two away from, the Palazzo. And that's why the buildings, I just saw that. I go, oh, this should work. Don't know how the exposure is going to come out because it's just like a Holga. There's only one exposure and, there's no focusing involved. And so, you just hope you capture the light. And now this is inside the inside courtyard of that Palazzo Vecchio.
And these are really sharp considering the fact that, there's no focusing and you don't know
Mhm.
the exposure or anything.
Right.
So they're really quite sharp.
And then the last one is the little town of Ponte Bossio in the Lunigiana region of Tuscany. Okay, so now how do I know I could say stop sharing, but how do
Yeah.
I do it and then still be on the screen to show you the camera?
So just stop sharing, and then
Okay.
we'll be able to see you. And then hold up your camera.
I don't,
Oh.
yeah, because I can only see myself in the small little photo.
Yeah, that's
but
okay. If people click on the speaker view, gallery view thing in the top right, you can click on
Video.
speaker view and see Ernie's.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, it's got a little lens cover. I mean, it's really very
That's
basic,
great.
very light. $15. I don't know if you can find them anymore, but
Hope not. Probably
Now
not.
they're 50. Just kidding.
yeah, probably.
I don't know.
If you can even find them, I don't know. But it was just something, something different. I thought, let me take something different, for this trip, and I had a Hasselblad with me. And then I think I had my Pentax. So I wasn't like I just had, two cameras or whatever. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Ernie, they're really fabulous. And I'm glad they worked out because when you're traveling, you have no idea until you get home, right?
Right.
But
Exactly.
but you also just published a book.
Yes, I did.
Are you going to share any of that?
Well,
Is that for those?
I thought we would give Jenny a chance to show her stuff. And if there's any time, what I did create like a slideshow of the images that are in the book.
But
But
tell
I
why
want
don't
to
you tell
share,
everyone about like
give Jenny her.
Well,
Okay, we have Alex is also going to. We have
Okay.
3 people tonight. So
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
well, just tell us a little bit about that and the genesis of it and what camera are they? Also toy cameras, images,
and where people can buy it if they want it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I've been doing some self promotion, but I'm not very good at it. Well, something, with this pandemic as a project to, kind of excuse me, make something productive. And I didn't want to delve into when I got the film scanner, something like my Italy stuff that would take, a year to get together. So I knew I had Holga images that I could, get, maybe I had 60 and I got it down to 37. I don't know if you, yeah. So I don't know how I get back, but it's just a little blurb book and it's got 37 photos. And so it was just something, I scanned and I was learning how to scan. And, my computer skills are so. So it was a project to try to figure out all this stuff on my own. You know, I had a little bit of help here and there, but yeah, so it just
That's
a
great.
little pet project, a vanity thing, you know, for
Well,
sure. But
congratulations. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it.
What's the best way, if anyone is interested in seeing
Well,
one or buying one, what's the best way they can
but
do
just
that?
go to the Blur bookstore
Okay,
and type in my name or
type in your name.
You
Okay.
could show, you could show us
Cool.
here with screen sharing. You could actually show us the book on Blur.
yeah.
Oh,
You want to share the screen again? See, now I don't know. Yeah,
Well, we should move on. And then
yeah,
if
I
it's
agree.
time,
it's
I
almost
agree.
8 o'clock. So Jenny,
Oh.
I will pass it to you.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I think Ernie, we're viewing your screen.
Yeah, no, I don't know what oh, stop share. I thought
There
I
we
did that already. I guess I was trying to
No
get back. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Mute.
Well, Jan, this is alt photography and toy camera. I'm sorry, I kept putting plastic camera on there, but I meant toy. And I think wet plate is technically alt photography, even though I feel like,
Absolutely,
okay,
for sure.
it is tonight.
No, it definitely is.
All right, so I'm gonna share screen. And I will pull up this. So I'm going to show you guys some landscape tintypes and some other tintypes just for the fun of it. These first couple I made on a road trip I took immediately after building my portable darkroom. I finished my portable darkroom to make 4x5 plates in January of 2010. And the purpose was, that deadline was so that I could drive to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. And I would take 2 weeks to drive to New Orleans and I would make tintypes along the way. And so this is one. This is at a place called Three Forks, and it's it's in Texas, in the middle of nowhere. Just a creepy, super creepy park. I mean, it's creepy because the tintype makes it look creepy, but it was already creepy. There was this giant. You can see this kind of what do you call it? Some kind of a refinery in the background, and then the playground. And now I'm realizing I don't really want to talk so much during this, so I'll just leave it at that. I'll just speak very infrequently initially here. Oh, that one wasn't supposed to show yet. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit. Darn it, I thought I put them in order. Okay, this is, I call this a ruby allumatype. Historically, ruby ambrotypes were ambrotypes made on, which are tintypes made on glass, and sometimes different colored glass was used, and they would be called a ruby type. It didn't mean that they were red. It just meant that it was a colored piece of glass. So I call this a ruby allumatype. It is actually on a piece of brown aluminum and taken in the Alabama hills in California, about an hour or so south of Bishop. This is actually Mount Whitney here. And this was a very much of a surprise landscape I made. Surprise in terms of success and framing for me. Another ruby allumatype in the Alabama hills. Another one, and this is the beginning of kind of like a polyptych of 4 different shots of the same thing using different colored aluminum. So this one is on green. Black.
Have you spent much time there?
Brown. What?
You spent much time in Alabama Hills?
I spent a week there making tintypes. My purpose was just to go camp out and make tintypes. Um, so a friend of mine, actually, this is kind of a cool story, but I'll make it super short. My friend was bicycling in Mexico, and this was in like March. I was taking a wet plate, advanced wet plate course outside of Denver, and I really wanted to go photograph the bristlecone pines. And my friend David had visited there, and I called him up, and he was in Mexico at the time riding his bicycle, and I was like, where are the bristlecone pines? I want to go there. I want to tintype them. And we're talking, and basically I realized that was going to be really unfeasible. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to go to the Alabama Hills. It was another place I had in the back of my head. And it's like, do you want to go there? Do you want to meet me there and help? Because I knew it was going to be really difficult. And he was like, well, when are you thinking? And I was like, oh, like May-ish. And he's like, hold on a minute. And he puts me on hold, and I didn't know it, but at the time he was looking at his map and measuring. He knew how long it took to ride his bike from San Jose to Mexico. So then he used all his knowledge and figured out how long it would take to ride his bike from where he was, Guadalajara in Mexico, to the Alabama Hills. And he was like, it'll take me a month to get there. Yeah, I can meet you in May. Anyway, so he met me in the Alabama Hills and helped. He was my assistant. And I was there for a week just trudging around. And it was beautiful, but it sucked because it was really windy most of the day, and the light was shitty most of the day. So we'd get up at like 5:30. I'd bake espresso. I'd shoot from like 6 to 8:30. And then we'd go into town from like 9 until 4, and then go back out and try to shoot again between 5 and 7, which was too windy. So it was tough, but
The
beautiful.
light really blasts there. It really does blast.
Yeah. Here's a red one. And moving on. Here's some still life work. I really love, the whole premise of wet plate collodion and tintypes is that you're looking at a negative. The image on the left is on a piece of black aluminum. You're looking at the negative. It's a direct positive, so you're seeing the positive image. The plate on the right is a piece of white aluminum, and it's the identical image. And you can see how if you have a light surface rather than a dark surface, you are just making a negative image. But I love looking at these two together. And we're back to landscapes. And this is in Joshua Tree. Also camping, another trip before the Alabama Hills, but intending to make tintypes all along the way.
Jenny, when you were talking about Skater Girls, you mentioned how the climate affects the plate itself, that you get drying along the edges of the plate and evaporation. Is that some of the effect that we're seeing here? And
well, I intentionally went to these potentially hot places in times when it was not so hot. So specifically so that it wouldn't be so bad. So the impurities, any impurities you see, I'm not getting so much of that drying factor, or sometimes there is there. I can't speak to why it is, but these are pretty much fully covered, fully exposed. A lot of these are made with they're a teeny bit smaller than 4x5 because I'm using a modified film holder that is simply smaller than 4x5 inches because of the nature of how that works. So for example, these, you can see there's a frame, there's a dark frame around it. That's because I'm using a plate holder that is intended to hold metal plates for tintype, for wet plate. So the actual plate is 4x5 inches. The image is a little bit less.
Did you keep your developer in like a cooler or something? Because it's probably over 90 degrees, right, outside there.
No, I really did go, you know, if you go to the desert in May, April, May, it's not too hot.
Okay.
So it was definitely not 90 degrees. I have made tintypes in 90-degree weather, and I did not keep my developer in a cooler or anything like that. I just had, I had hot weather developer, so that it did not, there was not so much residual silver showing up, and it processes a little bit slower. But the plates literally were just drying out. So you can't really, I don't know what you're supposed to do if they're literally just drying out. And this is another, oh yeah?
Yeah,
Oh.
the tree. So it's such a bizarre looking tree. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, these are Joshua trees. And I don't know, I mean, maybe a lot of you know this already. I went to college down in Southern California in Claremont, and that was when the first time I had visited Joshua Tree. And at that time, someone told me that, oh shoot, what's his name? Who wrote One Fish, Two Fish?
Dr. Seuss.
Apparently,
Dr. Seuss.
apparently he grew up or lived in Joshua Tree or near there, and he based a lot of his drawings of those weird trees on Joshua trees. I don't actually know if that is true. But this is a Joshua tree. They are like, they're awesomely unusual and beautiful trees.
Definitely a Dr. Seuss tree for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
easy
sure.
to believe because
Yeah.
it seems like that.
You just had a bad fire down there too.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know if you follow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The photographer Gordon, I forget his first name, but he takes a lot of pictures and does tours around Death Valley in the Mojave Desert. He reported there was a lot of trees that were devastated by this latest fire. So
Wow,
Yeah, it's Michael Gordon.
yes, Michael. Yes.
Michael.
wow, I'll look into that. I mean, they're not, you know, the clusters are not very close together. It's pretty barren landscape, but that's very sad. This is a polyptic. Some of you might be familiar, I mean, kind of continuing on with the grapes that I showed you, but I love photographing food or plant food. And, you know, living in Berkeley and having Berkeley Bowl near you, there's just an endless number of unique, unusual produce. These are called sour grapes. And I just was photographing them, and I put them together in this polyptic because I liked it. Oh, and that's it. Oh, no, is it? Yeah. Oh.
Fabulous. Oh, they're so great.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
they're so luminous. When you see these live, they glow, you know. I mean, these are good scans, but when you see them live, they just have a beautiful iridescent, I mean, they're just so luscious. They're just luscious.
Yeah, Jan's seen them a lot up in Gray Loft.
But I haven't seen a lot of these, like these landscapes so
Oh,
much.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this one, it's incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. And this one,
Can
like,
I-
I actually had been photographing these rocks, and I was photographing them for a while, and I was like, all right, it's getting too hot. The sun is up. I need to stop. And I just turned around and, sorry about this. And this is what I was to my back. And I was like, all right, I'm going to just make one more.
Yeah.
And when you're making landscapes, it is very difficult to get this background exposures right because it's bright. It's just tough. But these are the southeastern Sierra Nevadas, and there was snow on there. Anyway, I was quite happy with.
Well, it's sensitive to blue light, especially, right? So
Mhm.
the
Jenny,
skies
how-
are always blown out like that.
Yep.
How big do you normally print?
These are, everything that I showed today are 4x5 plates. Yeah.
But you could then scan it, make a really good scan and make a print. Do you ever
Yeah,
do that?
actually, I do have, I do make some big prints, pigment prints of these. Some of my still life, I'm making 20 by 30 prints. And they're beautiful. Dickerson in San Francisco has made the prints for me, and they're pretty
You can shoot
gorgeous.
tintype in Olga too.
You can.
Have you tried doing that? It's a lot of fun.
I haven't.
Ooh,
I
maybe I
haven't.
should try that.
Yeah, yeah. I do have, so Michael Schindler, who I learned how to make tintypes from at Rayco, we went on there was another workshop I went on with him that was out in the field, and he had modified a Polaroid back for his Hasselblad. So I have a little 2x2 tintype that he made of me, which is super cool. But yeah, anyway, that's it.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. Always delight to hear you talk about your work and show you're such a prolific photographer. So many images. It's great. It's an inspiration to see all your work, and it's so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
it's so labor intensive. It's not like we're talking about really sitting, being quiet and composing. You really have to do that because each plate takes so much time. So it's very impressive.
Yeah,
Very
and
impressive.
I mean, a lot of what I do, like a lot of the skater work, it's very much like in the moment, just do it right now and then it's over. For on these camping trips, I mean, I've only made really two very dedicated camping trips to make landscape tintypes, because I know that I need at least 1 week in one place to make them, because you never know what the elements are going to be like. Like
Sure.
in Alabama Hills, I knew the temperature was going to be fine, except maybe at the height of day, but I didn't know what the wind was going to do. I didn't know all these other things. And then you need to explore, you need to be able to get around. So it's something where I personally, like, it would be challenging to do alone. And I mean, I would never do it for less than 7 days. And I remember the trip to the Alabama Hills. In fact, we had to pack up shop and leave because a snowstorm came in, and this was May. So it was like, okay, we finally got timing down, and now the snow is arriving. And my car is not a 4-wheel drive car, and blah, 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 so.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well,
Did you go to the
well done.
bristlecone?
Yeah, but the thing about the bristlecones is that I really wanted to photograph the really, really old ones, and you have to hike in, and you can do a lot of work and get there, and then anyone could kick me out, because what the hell am I doing with this tent and these chemicals in a national park, with trees that are, the oldest trees in the world. They're protected. It just was like too risky. I'm going to have to, I think they would be incredible subjects. And I think I feel like somebody's already beaten me to the punch. I'm sure they have. Yeah, I need to do a little recon before I do some bristlecone shooting.
You can still do it, even if somebody else has maybe photographed
It's
them.
true. It's true.
You
I
got,
can,
you got your own vision. So, all right, Jenny, thank you. Bravo,
thank you.
bravo.
Thank you so much.
And now we've got one more photographer, Alex Drysdale, who's going to show us his work. So welcome to the group, Alex. We're looking forward to seeing your images. And Janet, did you make Alex able to share his screen?
Oh,
You should be able to.
you should be
Can
able
you
to.
throw
I'll
it
give
up,
it a
please?
shot.
Okay. All right, go for it, Alex. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Alex. Where are you? You've just discovered EPCO, right? And you're not a member yet, but you're going to join. I've
That's
heard.
correct. Yes. Yeah, that's
And you're,
correct. Go ahead.
are you in the East Bay or?
I am. I'm in Oakland.
Okay, cool.
And
Awesome.
I was.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I was going to show some of my shots that I've been taking with a Horizon 202. It's a plastic panorama camera. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great. It's an old, it might be a Soviet era, actually, plastic panorama camera. It's a swing lens camera. So the whole lens, when you press the shutter, swings from left to right and captures the scene, which can lend to some really strange stuff going on with the way the lines converge. It has a ton of light leaks. It sometimes will just rip my film apart, but I really love it. I've been working with it, and I'm enjoying how it's forcing me to try some new things compositionally with it.
It's a great shot.
Thank you. So I'm just going to move through some of these shots I've been taking. I like photographing crowds and groups with it, getting some sort of tableaus.
That's a perfect moment. You've got everybody with the cameras in every different direction. The little girl, I mean, that's a great moment. That's fabulous.
Which photo walk is that?
Yeah, what group is that?
This was the Glass Key, no, not the Glass Key, the Looking Glass, the
Nice.
camera store in Berkeley held a photo walk. Brandon Ruffin led it. He's the gentleman, let's see if you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
Over here. Great photographer. I really recommend looking him up if you have time. And we just walked around Berkeley with some cameras, and I felt like this was the stereotypical photo walk moment when everyone's
It's great.
pointing their cameras at each other.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Are you using a tripod?
I was
Not
just
for
going to ask
these.
that. Yeah.
No, I like using it for sort of street photography and
So how quickly does, you said the lens moves from left to right. How quickly, like what are your shutter times there?
so it has a variety of shutter times from, I want to say, like half a second up to 1/250th of a second.
Okay.
So it's you can free some movement with it, assuming it works correctly. Yeah. So I've been trying it out for street photography.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how this kind of shot makes you really feel right inside the crowd there. And also, I feel like you can feel some of the dynamic of the moving lens, like there's a lot of motion in the shot itself.
Yeah, I didn't bring one today, but if anyone is moving at the same speed as the lens in the same direction, it does some really odd things with them in the way that it captures motion.
It's really enjoyable to see San Francisco and just our local places pre-pandemic. It feels really good.
Oh
I
my
know,
God.
You're thinking that.
I love
You're
photographing
right.
crowds with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
wish
mean,
I could
when
be
have we
doing
been
it.
standing in a crowd?
Right.
I know it's
Love
been
it.
so long, it's been so
Love
long.
It's true.
Never have I wanted to walk around a crowded street so badly.
Yeah.
You know. Wow, look at this. Is that the Oakland Cemetery crematorium?
Yes, exactly.
That's
The
awesome.
the columbarium.
The Chapel of the Chimes.
Chapel of the
Exactly.
Chapel of
Chime.
the Chimes.
Right.
It's pretty gloomy in there, and these exposures are fantastic.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only time I've been there was when it was pouring rain on that EPCO walk.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
extra gloomy.
Extra gloomy and drippy.
Alex, do you meter these, or or is it guesswork? Like the Holga is total guesswork, but are you able to like meter these at all?
yeah, I meter it a little bit. Like I said, you can shift the speed slightly.
Yeah.
It's a relatively narrow range, but I mean, I think because the lens is so wide, maybe sometimes the motion is not as affected. The other thing is I'm holding the field of view is so wide that if you hold the camera normally, your fingers will be in the shot. So I'm holding it from behind while I'm taking these.
Wow.
I'm just trying to be as steady as possible.
Seems like you're pretty steady.
Thank you.
They are definitely.
There's a little more gloomy for you, Vince.
Yeah.
He must have been there around the holidays.
Yeah.
So pretty.
It's really effective for that location because I found, I don't know, it's an incredible place. I found it a little challenging to capture that, like the magnitude of it with my camera, but this is really.
Yeah, Jenny, I was thinking the same thing, that it is kind of hard to photograph because it's so narrow. The spaces are so narrow.
It's
At the
narrow,
same
but
time,
you're surrounded by all this architectural detail and
yeah.
all these things.
It's a very
These
cramped
also-
space, yes.
It's very cramped. It's like they're like Escher drawings. These are making me think of Escher drawings. They're so
Like that
detailed. There's great perspective on this one. Oh,
Ooh.
And then these are taken with an infrared film called Lomochrome Purple. I think it lends the images can be surreal because they're so wide anyways, and so I find that the color adds to that.
Those are great.
that's
I
lovely.
was so curious about all that weird Lomo film. So,
It's weird for sure.
and it's color. Like
It's
it's
color and it
Infrared.
yes.
Yeah,
but it's
Shifts
color
green
film.
strongly to purple. Yes.
Okay.
great.
Wow, that is super.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
fascinating.
That's very
Purple.
surreal.
Who needs Photoshop when you have Lomo weird color film?
So green becomes purple.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Green becomes a strong purple. Some other colors shift a little bit too,
Wow.
including the skin tones. And depending on what your speed you shoot it at, it supposedly shifts more or less.
Wow. Is that a
Wow,
leopard?
that's
What is that?
ocelot?
An ocelot?
Someone
It's an
thought to
ocelot?
bring their pet. Yeah. And you
Sounds
can see
great.
here there's some really intense light leaks that will happen with the camera, but I like leaving it in to add a little bit to
Yeah.
the surreal effect.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is cool.
Sometimes it eats your film.
This is Dolores Park.
This is Dolores Park, yes.
Mm.
Made a horrible sound when it took this.
Can you recreate the sound?
No, not without gears and machinery, I don't think. But I could tell as soon as it was happening that it was grinding up the film and not advancing it appropriately.
And
No,
yet,
Nice.
It's a nice mistake, though.
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
accident.
Exactly.
are those little green lines, is that a light leak also?
I have no idea what that is. I can't tell. Because it's a camera that's got light leaks. The film is, who knows, and
Maybe
it
it's
could have happened in
scratched.
development. I'm not sure. I just left it in.
Yeah.
So the foliage is turning purple, but there's a lot of green in people's clothes. Are those other colors that are turning green, or
I
are
think
people just,
like blues will shift to green or cyan. If the sky wasn't totally blown out, you would see that that often shifts to cyan or kind of greenish.
Mhm.
And this is my last one.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah, really interesting.
Bravo.
thank
Yeah.
you. Can you go backwards a little just so we
Certainly.
can get another look see through?
Of course.
And Alex, do you print, how big are these printed? Do you print them large or?
I've been printing them 4 by, I think it's 10, maybe 4 by 12. It's a really unusual size. And they're
10 inches,
effective.
so you're not going really big. Then you're not going like
Feet.
40 inches or something.
I haven't tried it yet. No, going
Yeah.
really big with these. I find it effective at that size. I found a photo book that happens to be that size, and I'm slowly filling it.
I love that one. Those two are just really.
Yeah. Yeah, these are lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this series.
Alex, since you're a film shooter, when you become a member, you get discounts both at Underdog Film Lab here in Oakland and Berkeley Photo Lab for film processing.
Great, I've used both. That's fantastic.
I really like the little bit of flare that's coming like from the lamp, the street lamps and the stoplight there.
Oh, this one here, yeah.
Yeah. And the reflections too have this like.
I do love that one. Also because it so rarely rains here. I always love it when it does.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
making me want the rain.
Yeah, and the red, the reflection in the puddles. It's
Yeah.
really a beautiful moment.
Great moment.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks so much.
So I think that's our last one, right, Jan?
Yes, it is. And thank you guys all. It was perfect because it's 8:30, so we filled the time.
Perfect.
And thank you 3 for showing your work, and thank you for letting me show my work. And it was great. And
It
thank you,
was.
Jenny, for hosting, and thank you, Vince and Anita, for creating this beautiful, wonderful organization where we can do this. So
Yes.
bravo.